Now, you guys know how I feel about Kelsey Mitchell. I think she is a very dynamic volume shooter in the WNBA. And she had a hell of a season. I do believe in part because Caitlin wasn't there taking some of those shots. All right, but nonetheless, she's a beast. Kelsey.
Okay, this is wild. Kelsey Mitchell just went on Sue Bird's podcast and basically confirmed what everyone's been whispering about behind closed doors. And get this, she didn't just talk about playing with Caitlinclark. She revealed she had to sit down with the Fever organization because things weren't working the way they should have been. But here's the kicker, what she said about Caitlin herself. That's where this gets complicated, because when you really listen to her words, you start to realize there's a massive problem brewing in Indiana that nobody wants to talk about. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this could either make or break the entire franchise.
What do you think, or do you feel like people sometimes just like overlook your leadership specifically and your impact on the team from like a chemistry standpoint, because there's just so many narratives? So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
She made the All-W first team. I don't think anyone's overlooking what Kelsey Mitchell did this year. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think anyone is.
Did you catch that? Role-playing that had to be situated. That's corporate speak for we had no idea what we were doing. The Fever knew for 5 months they were getting the biggest star in women's basketball history, and they still weren't prepared. Think about that for a second. 5 months of preparation time, and Kelsey sitting there saying players, coaches, trainers, the entire organization had to scramble to figure out roles once Caitlin actually showed up. But here's what everyone's missing. Kelsey isn't just talking about logistical adjustments. She's talking about something way deeper. Listen to how carefully she words what comes next, because this is where the real tension starts to show.
I don't think there's any animosity towards Kelsey Mitchell in the fandom. I don't sense that at all. I think Kelsey Mitchell is a fantastic complement player to Caitlinclark. And I think you saw Aaliyah Boston.
She never was bigger than a program. Now, most people heard that as a compliment, but let me break down what that actually reveals. When someone says a superstar wasn't trying to take over, what they're really saying is that person didn't assert themselves the way they should have. Think about every dynasty in basketball history. Jordan didn't worry about being bigger than the Bulls. LeBron didn't hesitate to take over in Miami. Kobe demanded the Lakers build around him. That's not arrogance, that's leadership. And what Kelsey just exposed is that Caitlin came in trying to fit into their system instead of making them fit into hers. Which sounds noble, right? Except here's the problem nobody wants to admit. She basically saying Caitlin was soft.
Locker room. So what do you think, or do you feel like people sometimes just like overlook your leadership specifically and your impact on the team from like a chemistry standpoint, because there's just so many narratives? So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
I think that in a short, yeah. I think that.
Hold up, did she really just call Caitlin soft? Because that's exactly what just happened. She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Isn't praise when you're talking about a generational talent. That's criticism disguised as respect, and you can hear it in how Kelsey keeps emphasizing that Caitlin fit into the team and understood chemistry. Translation, she didn't demand the ball. She didn't force the offense to run through her. She played nice instead of taking control. Now contrast that with what we saw on the court last season. Post-Olympic break, when Caitlin and Kelsey finally clicked, they were unstoppable. The Fever were scoring 100+ points every night. Kelsey was dropping 24, Caitlin was getting 20 and 12 assists. They looked like the best backcourt in WNBA history. So what changed?
In your locker room. So what do you think, or do you feel like people sometimes just like overlook your leadership specifically and your impact on the team from like a chemistry standpoint, because there's just so many narratives? So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
I think that in a short, yeah. I think naturally, yes, because of the society, the social media, and how bad, people take to social media and abuse it for in the wrong realm of light. And so I think that's one part of it. But I also think that it was an adjustment period, and I talked to, the Fever organization about.
She kept the program. The program. You know what's crazy? Kelsey keeps using that word program, not team, not family, program, like Caitlyn was joining some established system that she needed to respect, except the Fever were terrible before Caitlyn arrived. They hadn't made the playoffs in years. Kelsey had been there 7 seasons without getting past the first round. So what program exactly was Caitlyn supposed to keep sacred? This is the psychology of veteran players who feel threatened. They frame humility as virtue when what they really want is for the new star to know their place. And Caitlyn, being the ultimate team player, actually did it. She deferred, she facilitated, she made everyone around her better instead of demanding they make her better. Which brings us to the massive elephant in the room that's destroying this partnership before it even reaches its potential.
No, it very much makes sense. And you know what? Like, she wasn't even asked about Caitlin-Clark. And like, there's no matter what, I mean this when I say this. No matter what happens, even if I don't think Kelsey Mitchell wants to leave. It's gonna take these two have had 10
See what
games.
Just happened there. Kelsey praised Caitlyn for maintaining passion when she didn't play and when injury happens. But think about why that needed to be said. The subtext is brutal. Caitlyn had to prove she could stay engaged even when she wasn't the focal point, even when the offense didn't run through her, even when Kelsey was taking contested long twos instead of passing and Caitlyn passed that test, which Kelsey respects. But here's what's eating away at this situation from the inside. Stephanie White came in and immediately said Kelsey Mitchell was her #1 priority, not the generational talent who single-handedly changed the entire league, not the player who sells out every arena and brings in millions of new fans, the veteran who's been good but never great. And that decision has created a fracture.
Actually, yes, because of the society, the social media, and how bad, people take the social media and abuse it for in the wrong realm of light. And so I think that's one part of it. But I also think that it was an adjustment period. And I talked to the FIFA organization about this. It's like I think it was an adjustment period that we all should have adjusted to throughout the course of the organization. I think that that was big for everybody. Pacers Entertainment, FIFA organization. I felt like at that time there was a lot of role playing that had to be situated. I feel like that when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of adjustments that people have to make on the floor, off the floor, in the locker room, in the training room. Just a lot of stuff is a lot of moving parts. And I think the biggest part that I respected about Caitlyn is that she never was bigger than the program. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. It wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah, no, I know what you're trying to say. It's like she knows who she is. She comes in. She's going to obviously do her part because that's what being a professional athlete is. But with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than like the group
it's like
itself.
She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Like within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style of play, it ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so like, the one thing I love about Caitlyn too is that we all love basketball the same way. We all have our different styles of way of playing it, but the passion for it with Caitlyn, when she didn't play compared to when she did play, remained the same. And like, I respected that about her because it could have easily not been that way. You have people that come in and not want to do or buy in once it's not, or once it don't go their way, or once unfortunate things happen and you can't play and injury happens and you're not getting your body the way you want to. And so I can respect the fact that she kept the program and she didn't let her passion for it waver because she ended up pouring in more than she thought. And it was dope because she could have easily not been that person.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I would build on what I was saying and add from what I'm hearing from you is like, she was like that way in the locker room too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it was like she wasn't trying to like, you could easily be a certain way, and her thing was just like, like giving her best. Like she gave us like her best when she was in the locker room.
Yeah, the time I've spent with Caitlyn, like she definitely has like, oh, you're like my little sister.
Yes.
Because she likes to like, you know, talk about
She plays a
basketball
lot.
and kind of troll a little
Oh,
bit.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
exactly.
You talk about a kid in the candy store, that's Caitlin.
Yep.
Tutu, she is, but in a good way.
She needs to start taking "You're like my little sister." Did you feel the shift there? That's not just affection, that's hierarchy. Big sister, little sister, veteran rookie. The person who's been here and the person who needs to learn. Except Caitlin isn't just any rookie. She's the most accomplished player to enter the WNBA in history. She broke every college basketball record that mattered. She's already better than Kelsey will ever be, and everyone knows it. But the Fever's entire structure is built around pretending that's not true. And this is classic organizational dysfunction. When you have a transcendent talent, you don't make them adjust to your system. You blow up the system and build a new one around them. Golden State didn't tell Steph Curry to fit into Mark Jackson's offense. They hired Steve Kerr and revolutionized basketball. The Lakers didn't ask Kobe to respect the veterans. They traded Shaq and gave Kobe the keys. But the Fever? They trying to have it both ways. I'm not feeling that.
There has to be an adjustment. You got the biggest star in women's sports coming onto the team. And it's now, and wherever she go, it's her show. So everybody got to find a role. Batman is there. You can be Robin, or y'all got to figure out what y'all gonna be. It's as simple as that. But obviously, there's a huge adjustment when Caitlin joins the team. It sounds like Kelsey Mitchell had conversations with the.
Caitlin ain't doing it. Now here's where this gets really complicated, because Kelsey isn't wrong about everything. She's absolutely right that Caitlin needs to be more assertive. The problem is why Caitlin isn't being assertive, and it's not because she's soft or immature. It's because she's trapped in an impossible situation. Think about what happened this season. Caitlin played hurt for basically the entire year. She was injured from day one, but kept grinding because the team needed her. Meanwhile, Stephanie White is running an offense that doesn't maximize her strengths. Kelsey's taking shots that should go to Caitlin. The system is designed to make Kelsey comfortable instead of making Caitlin unstoppable. And when Caitlin tries to take over, she gets criticized for not being a team player. So she backs off, tries to fit in, and then gets called soft for not being aggressive enough. It's a no-win scenario designed to protect everyone's ego, except the person who actually mattered.
You know, you could easily be a certain way, and her thing was just like giving her best. Like,
See, yeah, she's not overly assertive and trying to assert her power too much, you know, and you got to respect that. But now we have gotten to a point, truthfully, Kelsey, and I rock with Kelsey. Kelsey's a killer. You know what I mean? Obviously, we got a little crazy with Kelsey because there was a certain point in time, beginning of the season last year, she wasn't passing, but post-Olympic break, she was great. We got on her once her sister started making comments online and doing all that. She was doing too much. You got her under control. Cool, but...
And get this, even the people defending Kelsey admit the fit is questionable. We can all have our opinions. We can all make our predictions. Translation, nobody actually knows if this works long term. They're hoping. They're guessing. They're crossing their fingers that chemistry magically develops, but hope isn't a strategy. And here's the truth that nobody in Indiana wants to face. Kelsey Mitchell is a great player who doesn't complement Caitlinclark's game. She's an isolation scorer who needs the ball in her hands. Caitlin is a transcendent playmaker who makes everyone better when she controls the offense. Those styles can coexist for stretches like we saw post-Olympic break last season, but when pressure hits, when games matter most, one of them has to dominate, and Stephanie White already chose Kelsey, which means Caitlin is stuck being the best player on the team who isn't allowed to play like the best player on the team. So you see Kelsey Mitchell, she should have been bigger than everybody. Finally, someone said it. Because that's the core issue, destroying the Fever's potential. Caitlin should walk into that locker room learning she's the franchise. She should demand the ball in crunch time. She should tell Stephanie White to build the offense around her strengths, not Kelsey's comfort zone, but she doesn't. And the organization enables her passivity because it's easier than having difficult conversations with veterans. This is the moment that defines careers. Jordan had to push out his friends to win championships. LeBron had to leave Cleveland to reach his potential. Kobe had to become the villain to build his legacy. Every superstar reaches a point where they have to choose between being liked and being great, and Caitlin is at that crossroads right now. The question is whether she has the ruthlessness to make the right choice. Here's what makes this situation so explosive. Kelsey isn't going anywhere. She just signed a one-year deal, which means she's betting on herself to prove she can be the #1 option. Stephanie White has already committed to building around her. The organization has chosen sides, so Caitlyn has 3 options. First, she can keep being the ultimate team player, deferring to Kelsey, fitting into a system that doesn't maximize her talent and hoping things magically improve. That's the safe choice that leads to a good career, but never greatness. Second, she can demand change it, tell ownership that Stephanie White's approach isn't working, insist the offense runs through her, risk being labeled difficult or selfish. That's the dangerous choice that either leads to championships or gets her run out of town. Or third, she can leave, force a trade, go somewhere that actually understands what they have, build a legacy somewhere that deserves her. And honestly, after listening to Kelsey talk about her like a little sister who needs to know her place, that third option is looking better every day. But here's what everyone keeps missing in this whole debate. This isn't just about basketball fit or offensive systems or who gets the ball. This is about respect, and Caitlyn isn't getting it. Not from Stephanie White, who publicly said Kelsey is the priority, not from the organization, who failed to prepare for her arrival despite 5 months of warning, not even from Kelsey, who keeps framing Caitlyn's team-first attitude as immaturity instead of sacrifice. And you can only disrespect greatness for so long before it walks away. The WNBA has spent decades begging for a player like Clark, someone who brings mainstream attention, someone who fills arenas, someone who makes casual fans care about women's basketball. And now that they finally have her, they're treating her like she should be grateful for the opportunity instead of recognizing that every team in the league would trade their entire roster for her.